It's time for the Bringing Back Basic Gray collaboration share, and this month I decided to make some cards, so let's see what kind of cards I made. Hey guys, it's Beth. Welcome. It is the Bringing Back Basic Gray collaboration, which is a small collaboration that I do with my friend Sarah, who's crafting and relaxing here on YouTube, and Kathy, who is Stampin' Cat over on Instagram. We love Basic Gray paper. Basic Gray no longer makes paper. They stopped probably in the early 2000s. And now they make fabric, but they no longer make paper. So we had paper in our stash that we had been hoarding, and we decided that once a month we're going to play with it, kind of pull it out and enjoy. This month I decided to make some Father's Day cards. I had some small 6x6-ish pieces of some masculine patterned Basic Gray that I received in some Happy Mail, and then I had some scraps that left that went along with that. So I decided to use those and use them up and make some Father's Day cards. I pulled out the November 2020 sheetload of card sketch from Call Me Crafty Owl. It is one of her 6x6 special edition card sketches. And I just thought it was like fun, kind of mixed I had the full sheets I had, the full 6x6-ish sheets I had. There were 3 different patterns. And so I thought that would be a good way to bring all 3 together into one. And then I ended up making 2 sets of the cards. I had one where I used those 3 6x6 sheets that I had and made one set. And you can just see it uses all 3 patterns. It just kind of alternates. And then I brought in, I had a bunch of cards, so I decided to print my silhouettes, my sentiments from my silhouette. So the second batch I did, I had like one full sheet left, and then I had 1 3/4 sheet and then scraps. So I combined all of those to make another full set of 6 of these cards. So 12 cards using the sheet load, and then there are scraps on the insides of all of the cards. And then I had scraps left of the pattern paper as well as the cardstock that I used. So I was just trying to come up with some cards that I could do using the scraps. So they're kind of basic. I probably need to go back and embellish this one. I pulled in some star punch, and so I may just need to add some to that. This one was just using strips and trying to use up some of that black cardstock scraps. And then I just had strips. I had strips of like a 12-inch strip from each of the sheets that I cut down to use as my green mat. And then I had black, and then I had like 6 pattern paper strips left. So I just combined them. I wanted to be able to use like all the strips on one, so I just decided to layer the green and the black just to kind of give it some interest, and then used 2 patterns, like one on either end to anchor it, and then didn't like all the white space, so brought in some black stars. So I have 3 of those, just kind of using the different pattern strips that I had left. And then I had some bigger chunks, and so this is actually a sketch. And I didn't take the time to pull the sketch, I'm sorry. But it's one of those that I have the dimensions memorized. So these are like 1 3/4 by 2-inch rectangles. And so I just paired them there and then added a sentiment at the bottom. And then this last one, I still had a bunch of the green strips left. So I just took them, and whatever width the strip was, I just made it into a square. So that's also what I cut the length to be. So I made a bunch of squares, and I thought I was just going to kind of do like across the middle of the card, but I got off a little bit, and so I always seem to get off. Like I can't ever just do an even row of like the diagonal squares going across. And so it got off just a little bit here at the bottom, and it probably wouldn't have even bothered anybody else, but it bothered me. And then I still had some squares and scraps left. So I decided, you know what, we're going to cover the whole card with the squares, give it kind of like a quilted look. But then since it was just solid color, I wanted to do something big in the center for the sentiment. So I had another black strip left that I threw down. This circle, scalloped edge circle, was already die cut and kind of like on my desk, and so I thought, I'm going to use that. It looks like the perfect size. So then I had my sentiment, and so I just went and die cut a stitch circle piece in black to kind of go behind my sentiment and fill up some of that space and just kind of help it really pop. So I don't know that the circle is really very masculine, but it filled the need that I had for the card. So I had intended to print several different sentiments, but because I wanted, my intention on this one was to do like more of a bigger like square or rectangular sentiment. And so I had kind of a couple different pages of sentiments ready to print, but I didn't pay attention to my printer settings. And instead of printing one sheet of this version of the Happy Father's Day, it was going to print 4. And so I caught it after 2. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to go back and use the ink to print another round. I would just use all the same sentiment. So the only difference was this Thinking of You was already like a pre-stamped sentiment on my desk. So that worked out. So I managed to get 19 cards, I think, out of the 6x6 size sheets and the scraps that I showed you in the very beginning. So pretty good. And I had fun trying to find ways to mix the patterns, you know, and make them like still masculine cards for Happy Father's Day, since that is coming up. And I wanted to get these done in time to send them to, I think it's Send a Smile for Kids. They do collect like Mother's and Father's Day cards so that the kids can send to their, or give to their parents. But that is my share for you today. Be sure to check the links below to see what Sarah and Kathy did with their basic gray. And then I'm also linking Call Me Crafty Al's channel, where if you don't already have the sheet load, you can find more information about her sheet load sketches. But thank you guys so much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.